Hello, good afternoon. I wanted to talk today about the activation of triggers. We often talk about like energy is held in the body, we talk about triggers, we talk about how they activate. But actually, energy has got very specific ways of moving and specific ways in which they get triggered. So I thought I'll just map it out. I worked this out from my own experience and I wanted to share it. Before I go into the explanation, I want to go talk about myself. I'm a deep healing coach. I help people heal from within their bodies. But when I say healing from within the body, I mean that when we have, say, a mindset block or any kind of like an emotional issue, compulsive habits, etc., mental health issues, the trigger for all of this actually resides inside our bodies, within our body memories. So the reason this is because at some point our emotional impulses that we had, our natural impulses, have been stopped. Say, if you had a desire for connection and when you were young, there was a consequence attached to connection, which is that you were going to be rejected or hated, then this impulse, actually this memory of this reaction would be stored in your body and it would be triggered every single time you reach for connection. So I'm just going to do this drawing to explain a little bit further how energy works. I hope that's visible. So, sorry, I'm not quite sure. Well, I've written it and it's all in reverse. So we'll just deal with that. So this is what happens inside the body and this bit is what happens outside the body. So energy moves as an impulse. So you get an impulse to get up, you get an impulse to walk, you get an impulse to talk, you get an impulse to create art, you get an impulse to make a connection. All these are impulses that are arising from your body. At this moment, we're not going to cover where these impulses are arising from. Just suffice to know that these impulses are arising from within your body. Say, let's just assume you have an impulse to connect. This is usually an impulse because we are human beings and we have a predominant impulse to connect. So if you have an impulse to connect, say this is like the thing that gets triggered. So let's say this is an energetic memory, an imprint that's triggered. So what is triggered over here is the original feeling that was used to shut you down. Say if you were shamed for trying to connect, if your impulse, you were trying to connect, and the reaction was, how can you connect? It's shameful that you desire to have that connection, then the emotion that will be triggered over here every time you try to connect is actually going to be shame. Say if whenever you have this impulse, what actually gets triggered is fear, because somebody said, oh, it's not safe to connect, then what is stored in your body is fear every time you have the impulse to connect. Or say if it's anger, say you wanted to connect and somebody reacted with anger, then what is stored here is anger. Okay, so whatever was given to you at that time of you trying to connect is what gets stored over here. Consider this your tissue memory, really, and this is all within your body that is stored. So what happens is you have an impulse, a desire to connect or to to do something, say even an impulse to dance, and you say that the reaction when you tried to dance when you were a child was that you were shamed. So that shame actually will get activated, and that's actually what we call a trigger. As a result of the shame activated, you avoid. This is a pattern you have. This is a pathway you have. There is an impulse. You avoid it. You divert that energy that's there with the impulse into a different pathway. So you have to know that this pathway is something that's now familiar to you. I want to dance. I get triggered by shame. Instead, I feel empty and I go and compulsive eat. Or I want to dance, I get triggered, I get into body shaming, and I go and start a diet. Or I have an impulse to connect. I have trigger, say that is fear. I go within myself and I start the self-talk. I'm not any good. Maybe I go to alcohol, or I go to withdrawal, and I go to, self-destruct in some sort of way. So this is basically how triggers work. I don't know if this is helpful, but I often see people talk about triggers and they don't actually explain how it works and why it works in that specific way. So I think, energy is not something abstract, it's abstract in a way, but it's not something that cannot be comprehended. It's actually easily comprehensible, including how energy is stored in the body. So this is how your energy gets diverted. Eventually, when we do the work in the body, we deactivate this trigger. Basically, if you use my method of cellular transformation, this memory does not have an energetic charge, so you will no longer face shame. You go here, your impulse goes there, you no longer have an energetic charge of shame. You can go straight through and seek connection. So you will no longer have these kind of diverting habits when you go through the cellular transformation process. You have an impulse, and your impulse can actually be fulfilled because it can release outside into action, into healthy action that is actually its original intention. So how do you feel this? You have to go back within your body. You obviously we get into an unconscious kind of a loop as soon as we have this trigger. As soon as we hit this trigger, we go back in time. We go into that old loop that we have. So instead of going the old loop, you have to just observe the loop. So if you observe, okay, I want to do this, and then I come to shame, and then I'm going to go there. So when you slow down this process and you actually observe what's happening, you will see that this is the action that's taking place. But usually when we go here, this is our pain body activation. So if you're like following Eckhart Tolle's New Earth kind of book, the pain body that it talks about is this layer. And what's contained in the same body, in the pain body, is what was put into you at that time when you were a child, or when you had that impulse and your impulse was restricted. So this is the same pain body. It's not a whole body. This is just one part of your body, one single layer. You can have an entire pain body. You can, you can have a pain body of shame. You can have a pain body of fear. You can have, there are many, many, many things you can have. Everything that you ever experienced basically is stored in your body tissue, and that's what you will find. So you have to obviously work through the different layers, but obviously you can use your body intelligence to do this work, and then, train it to carry on doing this at every point. You're learning a new skill, and your body will use that skill once you teach it properly. So this is what it is. If you want to have more content like this, you can come to my Facebook group. I run a monthly free circle. It's a free healing circle. You're very welcome to join in. And I also do a demonstration of my technique in that free circle. So thank you for watching, and I hope you found that useful. I'd love to hear your comments, your thoughts, and your questions. And I look forward to seeing you in my circle. Thank you. Bye.